I think no matter who wins this presidential election, the Senate's role of being able to act as a check and balance on bad ideas from the president, I think are going to matter more in 2017 than they perhaps ever have in our history. And that's saying a lot given what we're facing now. So I really deeply believe that I can contribute to that. I want to contribute to that.
That was former presidential candidate Marco Rubio reversing course, announcing that he is going to run for re-election in the Senate, and including a thinly veiled jab at both presidential candidates. So how are Rubio's chances, and what persuaded him to make this move? What was the change of heart? Where did it come from? Joining me now, Adam Goodman, Gina Loudon, Mica Mosbacher, and Representative Ron DeSantis, who was previously running for the same Senate seat but has opted to run for re-election in the House of Representatives. Congressman, I'd like to start with you. You know, a lot of people in your party, which is obviously fractured, are wondering where is this sort of heroic role of the Senate to keep checks and balances that Marco Rubio's talking about? Paul Ryan saying he would sue a president, whether it was Trump or Hillary Clinton. Where was this sort of disdain for the imperial president for the last 8 years?
Well, I think it's a good point, Charles. I think what you want to be as an elected official is calling balls and strikes when it comes to the Constitution, regardless of party, but you should be zealous regardless of who's in the Oval Office. And so if we're going out of our way to say we're going to check this president but not the other president, I don't think that's the way to approach it. The Democrats have rolled over with Obama in the White House. They've done nothing to help us try to check him. And my oath is to the Constitution, and that trumps the party. And if a president in my party is going outside, then I'm going to use the checks and balances the Constitution gives us to enforce the rule of law. Right,
but to your point, the Democrats and, of course, Republicans have rolled over. Gina, I mean, that's one of the central issues here that's propelled Donald Trump. The midterm elections gave Republicans enough power to push back, to show some backbone, if you will, and they didn't.
That's exactly right. And I think that's a lot of the reason why Donald Trump was so wildly popular. But look, Charles, I love the way you put it in that open. Here's the other thing. Donald Trump beat Marco Rubio in his own state. But Marco Rubio, both he and Donald Trump need each other. Marco Rubio can win this. Quinnipiac says Marco Rubio can win this. So Donald Trump is going to need that grassroots bolstering for his race to win Florida. And Marco Rubio is going to need the votes that Donald Trump brings in from outsiders and others. So this is a good thing.
Mica, this big swing in Texas, you were a big part of the fundraising effort. You and I were talking about the mother's milk of politics being money. The numbers that came out on Donald Trump, the FEC filing, not really great. Coming into the month with $1 million. Hillary Clinton with $42 million. More importantly, perhaps, though, $46 million in debt. What's the deal here? What's going to happen? Because am I right that some donors are reluctant that Donald Trump has this as a debt, doesn't just say, okay, it's a forgivable debt, make it official, make sure that the taxpayers and donors aren't paying that money back to him?
Well, some of this is also being driven by the liberal media. A headline yesterday in the Washington Post said this: GOP leaders alarmed by Trump's devastating fundraising start. Well, in Texas, he raised almost $8 million at 3 events with only about 10 days advance notice. We brought in a lot of new donors. We were bursting at the seams. We were sold out. I'm not hearing from donors really that they are concerned that Donald Trump is going to pass on his debt to taxpayers. And I think even he has walked it back and said, I will possibly just donate money to my campaign. I also want to bring up something else. Once he is the nominee, he will be able to access the RNC money, and there will be plenty of money.
Adam, you're a GOP strategist. The comments from Marco Rubio, really curious. Now, Gina made the point that both Donald Trump and Marco Rubio could benefit greatly from each other, particularly now because in this latest Quinnipiac poll that has Marco Rubio up, it has Donald Trump falling significantly behind Hillary Clinton in the last month. What's driving Marco Rubio? I mean, a cynic would say, here's a guy who either thinks Donald Trump is going to lose, wants him to lose, and is setting himself up for 2020 ahead of the party. I mean, if that's the case, it's beyond selfishness, it's self-destructive.
Well, there are a lot of things that are driving Marco and have driven Marco to get back into the Senate race. He's a big player with a big future. But let me go back to something I said on your show, Charles, not so long ago, which I think is a very healthy sign that I think everyone's overlooking about Marco's entry into the Senate race and his kind of declaration of some degree of independence from Donald Trump. I think it's really good that the party is opening up and has different voices coming from different directions with different ideas to bring it, and bring it honestly, not on behalf of the party, but on behalf of the country. I actually think this could be a great thing. And yes, he's going to disagree. Marco will disagree, as will Paul Ryan, as will Mitch McConnell, with a lot of things that Donald Trump may put on the table. But what they do agree on is fundamentally making this country strong again. And I think to get there, we need different voices with different ideas. I think this is really good for the Republican Party and for the country.
It sounds like a great GOP soldier that you are. Thank you very much. Hey,